I want to show you something. This was at the lowest point of my life. It was back in August 2024, where I was completely lost and directionless, having no sense of purpose or goals in my life. I was so lost that I began to browse content on loneliness, isolation, uncertainty, and how do you discover your purpose. It wasn't until I came across a topic called The Lonely Chapter from the Modern Wisdom podcast featuring Chris Williamson and Alex Hormozi. If you haven't watched the video or if you don't know who they are, I'm going to link that same video up here so that you can get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. At some point, people will want to improve their mental health as a human being. And what they're essentially doing and what you're doing is working on your own self-improvement journey. I'm only assuming this video found you if you've already taken that first step in your self-improvement journey, or if you're in your early stages but need a better understanding and how do you proceed from there. I just want to say I'm really proud of you for taking that first step, and I hope you're proud of yourself too for getting into self-improvement. But I want to prepare you for a chapter of your life that's going to be the hardest one you will ever battle. And it's called The Lonely Chapter. The Lonely Chapter is a period in one's life characterized by isolation, uncertainty, often associated with one's personal growth, transformation, and their inner self-discovery. There are people out there who go through a very silent and dark phase of their lives, and it is during this period that most people will fail to recognize that. Maybe you'd be even lucky if one person can recognize that, but for most people, that's sadly not the case. And it is during this phase, people may feel adrift in finding their place and identity while navigating through certain challenges and changes around them. And this is where people are in a life they don't want to be until they get to a place they want to be in their life. For me, the lonely chapter hit right after I graduated, and that's when I realized that my old life didn't seem like mine anymore because I didn't know what I wanted, who I was, or who I was even becoming. At the same time, I wasn't equipped with the skills to grow into the lifestyle I desired. And that's when I realized that no one was coming to save me and I had to build an entire new identity from scratch. I was in a situation that after I graduated from undergrad, I was either going to go to graduate school or find a job. And that didn't seem the lifestyle I wanted because I wanted to make a name for myself out there and be unique than what all the other people are doing out there. That's when most people will find themselves in such a situation. When you erase your previous identity, it creates a deep sense of isolation, not because you're doing something wrong, but you're working on becoming that better version of yourself. That's the purpose of the lonely chapter, because it forces you to confront those doubts, face resistance from others, and keep going even when there's no one cheering for you in the stands. That's when you should become your best friend and cheer for your own self, because it is you versus you. And when I mean by erasing your previous identity, let's just say you have people in your life you grew up with or you met in college who are like really good people who have helped you through really tough times and have been there with you every step of the way, then by all means, you should definitely keep those people in your life. My only intentions are that sometimes your group of people may not be at the same level as you are as you're trying to climb up that ladder. It's up to your call. You can have a neutral relationship with these people. You can have a conversation every now and then. But chances are you'd rather be surrounded by people who think alike, who are on the same level as you are, who are going after the same goals as you are. That's what I mean by erasing your identity. Now, you might find this weird, but I personally think that this period, this lonely chapter, is to rediscover yourself into identifying a purpose that aligns well with your goals and interests, and ultimately comes down to what you're passionate about, right? I want you to literally imagine, what would your future self look like? What would they be doing right now, and what kind of lifestyle would they be living? Try to like mentally envision that life, that period of life where your future self is literally on the other side telling you what kind of lifestyle they're in. I know it sounds weird, but just give that a shot, because that personally helped me at least figure out a little bit of a direction I should be heading towards. Maybe there are times where I get too carried away by the outcomes, But the whole point is what it takes for you to actually give back to the society once you surpass through this chapter. Now, I know there are some people out there who would rather stay in their comfort zone and not be very risky in their decisions and choices. And that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna judge you for what you do because it is your life and it's your decision on how you wish to live it. But this message is for people who want to climb up to the top of the mountain. And the only way you get to the top is by doing the hard shit that nobody else is willing to do around you. And towards the end of 2024, while I was simultaneously working in my family's automotive business, I began to question myself as to what I can do in improving my mental health, because I still didn't have a clear picture on what my purpose was. That's when I decided to go all in on self-improvement. I started going to the gym. I started eating clean. I started practicing mindfulness, like reading, meditation, journaling. And while I was doing these things, it struck me that why not start uploading content to social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. That's when I started to feel more passionate in sharing my progress, my self-improvement journey with other people out there, and hopefully I would come across like-minded people who are on the same journey as me. But that's when everything started to come into picture, that as I went into early 2025, this was back in January, I started to picture things as in, this is going to be one hell of a journey. This lonely chapter is probably going to be one of the most amazing stories to share out there to other people. And that's when I decided that I wanted to document this journey. Like, everything I'm doing right now as I'm recording this video, I wanted to relive it back. When I get to where I want to be in my life, I would want to come back and relive these moments. So that's when I decided to start a YouTube channel. And that's when I decided my purpose is to become a content creator and YouTuber. But I do want to be perfectly honest with you right now that even though I may have somehow discovered what my purpose is, I sometimes mess up and struggle in achieving my goals, especially in this period of my self-improvement journey. Since I'm in my growing stages, there are times where I'll mess up, where I don't go to the gym and I cheat on my diet, I skip journaling, meditation, reading, and even procrastinate on tasks like editing or even recording these videos. Like, you have no clue how much I was procrastinating on delaying this recording, because there are times where I don't want to show up to the camera and record. But the point is that we will often stumble across mistakes and we will fail at certain points of our life in this self-improvement journey. The important thing is to keep being disciplined and remain consistent. At the end of the day, it's all about being 1% better every day. I know you're tired of hearing that line, but for me, it's always about embracing the small wins and just reflecting on the steps you're taking to gradually build yourself to that person you would like to become in a certain span of time. And let's just say you set out to achieve all your goals, you went hard on your self-improvement journey, that you've come to a point where you've become successful, you've fulfilled your purpose, and you finally emerge out of the lonely chapter. Sadly, that's not the end, because for the people who want to climb on top of the mountain, it's always a lonely chapter. And what I mean by that is, people are always looking for ways to grow and scale themselves, that they need to leave other people behind to climb to the top. That's why people often say that it's lonely at the top, because we're always desiring to become that 1%. And to get to that 1%, there are multiple lonely chapters in your life. Maybe you'd be lucky enough to have one lonely chapter, but if you really want to continue to grow yourself to the top and get to that 1%, you will have multiple lonely chapters in your life. However, there is a plus side to all of this. It comes back to the conversation between Chris Williamson and Alex Hormozi, the one I linked in the beginning of this video. I remember how Hormozi's words impacted me. It's gonna be painful, but this is the hardest. Like, this is the hardest it's ever gonna get. And it's not like the dragons you slay across your journey get bigger, but you become well equipped to slay them back. Once you progressively become equipped with the resources and skills, imagine you're playing a video game and you're a level 1 character trying to defeat a level 10 boss. Obviously, you're going to lose because you don't have the power or the skills to defeat the boss. But once you go through the mini bosses, let's say you go through a level 1 mini boss, you get some XP. You go through a level 2 mini boss, you get more XP. And then you gradually get to that final boss. You'd be well equipped enough and you'll have all the resources you need to defeat the boss. That's how this journey is. The lonely chapter is only at the lowest you're ever going to be because you don't have the skills, you don't have the resources you need to achieve these goals. Once you do pick up the skills, once you do go through this journey of your self-improvement, you will naturally build those skills and you will progressively become better at how you were when you first started. And then you will start to have those group of people around you who will be cheering for you, who will be your allies, and who will support you and your battles every step of the way. By going through the lonely chapter, you not only achieve the results you desire, but you also become the most powerful human being in any space you set foot on. And some of you might be wondering, how do I get out of this rut? How do I surpass the lonely chapter? Or any other lonely chapter you come across in your life? Honestly, there isn't any guarantee of glory. However, the only certainty is that it is the same thing every other person went through to get to where they want to be in their life right now. It's like I said, we will never find the answers we're looking for. We just have to start doing something. If there's one thing you can take from this video, let it be this. It is a reference from Alex Hormozi. The work you know you should be doing but aren't doing is the opportunity. And that is the work your competition is avoiding too. Like if you think about it, there are people who will watch content like this, if not what I'm speaking right now, or if not my video, maybe any creator's videos. There are people who will refuse to take action, but there is a tiny fraction of people who will take action and do what it takes to get to the top. But that being said, they will definitely come across through bumps and hurdles across their self-improvement journey or through this lonely chapter. And that's what it means to actually understand what hard is. And what makes you stand out is when you do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. I hope this video wasn't too cringe. Again, I'm just a guy sharing my own life experiences and the struggles I experienced in the past. But I had to say what's on my mind, so come back to this video if you need to. I believe in you, and I hope you'll believe in yourself too. Goodbye. I'll see you in the next one.